All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the MetaAbe podcast. I have a few new guests, never been on this podcast before, but great members of the KOF community and all around lovers of Streets of Rage 4, which is what the game that we're going to be reviewing today. And today we have Desmond KOF. What up, Desmond?
How's it going?
And we have Rome himself.
Yo, what's up, world? What's going on, everybody?
All right, man. So, gentlemen, I've been playing this game and I've been seeing the comments on Twitter and online in general. And the main reason why I decided to bring you guys onto this is because I feel like you guys have a genuine connection to the legacy of Streets of Rage. And yeah, it's honestly, I really just want a perspective from people that have a really good understanding of the legacy and are willing to dip into the game and try to figure it out as best as they can from that standpoint. So yeah, man, I mean, overall, like if you guys could give me like a really quick impression of like the first things that come to mind with Streets of Rage 4, how do you guys feel about the game? You could go first, Rome. We'll hear what you
sure.
guys.
So, I think overall, just like like looking at the game, I think it's satisfying.
Mhm.
It's not perfect, right? Every game has its issues, but I think they really nailed it home, especially 27 years later. I think if you're like a big fan of the franchise, you'll be satisfied with the game.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's gorgeous, right? Like, look at the game, dude. It's amazing. It looks visually, it's stunning. The music is very good. The stage, like the differences in the stages, like they're very diverse. Like
The designs.
the stage feels the same, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just great. I think it's a good game, a lot of fun, and I think like even if you're not a fan of the series, I think it's a good game to start off with. Like if you start playing Streets of Rage, start with 4 and then kind of work your way back.
Yeah, I could
Like that, yeah.
I could definitely see that. How about you, Desmond?
I think it's a great game.
Mhm.
It's a valiant effort by the team or teams of developers.
Mhm.
Even if like it's not the same team as before, you know,
Right.
I think they did a very good job at keeping like the feel and the vibe and the essence of Streets of Rage,
Yeah.
pretty much, without like pandering too hard to nostalgia and bringing in some like new ideas, fresh ideas to the table.
Yeah. Well,
I do kind of feel like because it is a new team,
yeah.
and they're using, it's licensed to them, now, Sega let them like use the license so they can use it freely. It does kind of feel like, like how there's like a movie sequel, right? And then like it has a totally different production team and totally different like actors and stuff like Home Alone 3, Home Alone 4, and like the kickboxer movies.
Yeah.
That's what this game feels like,
Okay.
but a little bit better in a sense. But overall, I think it's a great game, man. It's beautiful. I love the graphics, and I do believe there's a lot of things they can work with, man, to make it better.
So, would you say that it's a strong new take on the series?
It is. It definitely is.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. Well,
I think
seeing as we're talking about a new take, the developers of this game were Lizard Cube, Guard Crush, and I believe .mu. The only thing that I know about .mu is that they publish games, right? I don't know about them on the development side or if they had anything to do with that, but I do know that Guard Crush and Lizard Cube were the primary developers of the game. I don't know if you guys played Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap before this.
I know of it, but I haven't played it yet. But I do know of that game.
So I think it's important to mention that game because this is kind of the start of this relationship with Sega. Because that game was originally released by Sega. I don't know the date, but it's like old as fuck. But Lizard Cube decided to remake that game. And what they did was they provided brand new art and reinterpretation of the old music, right? And it's a beautiful game. Like the same way that Streets of Rage 4 is gorgeous. That's part of the reason why I started playing Wonder Boy. I never played it before, so I had no idea. And this is kind of similar situation for me this time, where the only Streets of Rage I've really played, like a lot, was the original. And like I played 2. I don't know if you guys remember when like Sears or Target or whatever used to have demos. Where
Oh
you could,
yeah,
I used to play. That's
Nah, I don't remember that.
it's a
I
ways
remember, I
back.
remember that. Yeah.
But they used to have demos you could play for like, I don't know, was it like 3 minutes and then they'd cut you off? But yeah, that's what I remember playing Streets of Rage 2 on. But anyways, these guys remade Wonder Boy, and it was really successful. And from that, they were able to segue into working with Guard Crush and .mu to make Streets of Rage 4. But yeah, man, it's crazy. You know, I'll give my quick impressions about it. It's I was really looking forward to the game because I heard about who's working on it. I was a big fan of the release of Wonder Boy and the art style, and I was like, dude, this is something that I've wanted for such a long time. Like a serious retake of an old classic franchise with like new artwork, right? And I couldn't think of a better team to work on this, at least visually, than Lizard Cube. Because it is just a gorgeous game, and there's a lot of love and care put into like the animations and stuff, and the level designs and stuff like that. So yeah, that was really great. All right, so since we're talking a little bit about the history, I really think we should establish like where we come from in knowing this game. I kind of talked a little bit about myself, but Desmond, I'll let you go first. What is your first experience with Streets of Rage, the series?
I remember renting it back in '95 from Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going through the aisles, and you remember how, like, you know, when you see all the games on all the shelves, and then they'll have like the cover, and then on the back will be like the box, meaning that it's like available.
Oh, like the case?
Yeah, the case.
Yeah.
Yep. And they put the cartridge in there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember at first I was initially looking for like Street Fighter 2, like Super Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
And I'm in the S section and I'm looking, I'm like, okay, Street Fighter 2. And I see it, but the box or the case to get it wasn't there. So I'm like, oh, somebody got it already.
The fucking struggle, bro, of renting shit.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like very distraught. I was like, man. So I looked to the left and I see Streets of Rage. I'm like, it has streets in it. And I look at the back and I'm like, this looks kind of interesting. I never heard of it. And Streets Rage 3, where's 2? Where's 1? And it's the only one that's there. So I was still feeling kind of distraught. And my sister was with me too. She was in the other aisles looking for movies.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, I'll get this. And she was like, what happened to Street Fighter? Were you looking for Street Fighter? Like, it wasn't here. I got this. She was like, okay. And I remember taking it home, putting it in the Genesis, and playing it for like a good 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm beating up other people. It's I think I might need, a partner to play with or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Graphics were nice. The thing is that back then, like when I played games, I didn't really have like a big I would say critical thought of them at first. I was like, oh my god, it's 10 out of 10. I was like, this game is cool. It's like the more time you put into it, the more it grows on you.
Well, dude, back then that's how you experienced most games. There wasn't like a source that you could look at. I mean, there were magazines, but even back then I didn't have access to most of those magazines or even knew they existed. So I approached games the same way, where it was like, I don't know, I'll just figure it out on my own and I'll just play. Like, there's nothing more than that.
Exactly. And plus you didn't have like the reviews and stuff to kind of influence your thought of the game before you played it, so it was just a raw reaction. So I remember renting it for the weekend. I'm like, yo, this is actually a pretty fun game. And I remember bringing it back the third day, because I think it was just like 2-day rental. And I was like, you know what? I might want to play this game again. And I remember a few months after that, I went to a supermarket and they had a rental section there. Okay. And it was very short lived. And I remember looking for Streets of Rage 3, but they had Streets of Rage 2, and I'm like, whoa, Streets of Rage 2, okay. I finally found the second one,
Yeah.
and I look on the back of it, and I'm like, all right, it's pretty cool,
Uh-huh.
and it was available, so I ended up, taking it home. And the first thing I thought was like, whoa, this game is kind of slow. I can't run, but
Yeah.
and I remember just playing it throughout the 5 days, because
Uh-huh.
that's supermarket lets you rent out for 5 days. I'm like, yo, this is a pretty neat game. And then, after that, we acquired the game. I forgot, we didn't buy it initially. I think a friend gave it to us, and me and my nephew used to play it all the time at his house, my house. And Streets of Rage 3 was a little hard to find for us. It was a little more expensive. I remember finding it at a game store for like $25.
Yeah.
But we played a lot of 2. Streets of Rage 1, a friend had it on the Genesis 6-pack cartridge.
Oh, I remember that shit.
Yeah.
So everybody had
Hollow,
it on that cartridge.
it's like Sonic 1 and Altered Beast.
Yeah.
And like Flicky, I think. No, I don't think Flicky was on there, but some other little struggle games.
Yeah.
And I remember playing it. I'm like, oh, I think 2 and 3 is a little better than this. I think this is a good game, but 2 and 3 is definitely an improvement over 1.
Right.
But throughout the years, man, I've always like just played a little bit of 2 and 3, with like family and friends. So it's a very like personal game that I played with family and friends, and we always reminisce about it. So Streets of Rage is again, it's a very like kind of a personal kind of series for me. And yeah, that's my overall history on Streets of Rage.
That's interesting that you say that it's a very personal experience, because that's what I get a lot when I see the comments on Twitter, on YouTube, is how much it meant to people. Kind of in a similar way, funny thing you bring it up in the same breath, like Street Fighter, right? It's like a lot of people had that same experience with Street Fighter, where it wasn't like an overly critical situation where you just broke the game and you figured all this shit out and all that stuff. It was more of like an experience that you had with your friends, your family, and it just had a sense that, at least, especially after the fact, that it was culturally significant.
Yeah. I kind of also feel that when it comes to those games you mentioned, especially Streets of Rage, that game is kind of one of the first like games that a lot of people kind of like really get into when it comes to, if you were a Sega Genesis player. You had Sonic and stuff, and and all the other kind of like big titles. Streets of Rage, especially Streets of Rage 2, that's definitely like a lot of people's first like gaming experiences, to let them know like, yo, I love video games as a whole. It made people kind of fall in love with video games. And then also you can like play it like with a friend, and there's teamwork and stuff like that. And even after you beat the game, you feel so like you accomplished something, and then you could do it again.
Let's keep that thought in mind, because that's definitely something I want to talk about later about the gameplay, because I definitely do think the game achieves that as well. But Rome, how about you, man? I want to know your experience with the game and how you came to the series.
You love at first sight, guys. My earliest gaming memory, dude, is like I think when I was like, I had to be like maybe 2 or 3 years old, and my aunt, it was the morning of my aunt's wedding, and I just have this memory of my mother scolding my brother and my dad because they were playing Streets of Rage 2 on hard mode instead of getting dressed.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how far that game goes back for me. Like it's probably the first game that I've ever played. It's definitely the first game I remember playing, but when you're too young, certain memories you don't really you can't remember too, clean or whatever.
I mean, it's still fuzzy for me, man, and like I was like 8 or something when those games were coming out, and especially the later ones, I was older. But it's still fuzzy for me, bro. I can imagine for you being 3.
Yeah, I was born in 91, so this is probably like 93 or so. I can't really remember. I know I was really young, but as early as it gets for gaming for me, it was Streets of Rage 2 was like it. It was the first game I've ever completed like by myself.
Oh, that's crazy.
It was the first game where I noticed like music, that like gaming music was good, because even I guess today, which is kind of another topic, but even for today, I feel like people don't really appreciate gaming music like that. And Streets
Yeah.
of Rage music is like, as you guys know, that is
Yeah.
like some of the best. But anyways, like yeah, it was like a lot of first for me in terms of like the first game I completed, the first game I remember playing, first game where I really like fell in love with like a series as a whole.
Hmm.
And I basically it's been like a part of my life. Like I've been playing that game forever. At least 3 times a year I'll complete Streets of Rage 2. It's just like a something I just do every year, right? I mean, there might be even more times where I play it. It's just there's definitely like 2 or 3 times where like, all right, I'm gonna make sure I sit down and like play this game if I don't do anything else, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like talk about personal, like how Desmond was saying, like that's just how I view the game. Like I as soon as I think of the game, I immediately start smiling. Like it just everything comes back to me. Childhood playing, the music, like it's just like such a game that I loved it so much. And then initially I only had two. I never had
Hmm.
one and I didn't have three. And I remember trying three. What it was, I don't know if you guys remember when sometime in like the mid 2000s where like when PSP was out and like everybody was just like hacking their PSP.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody bought PSP games.
Yeah.
So I remember I think my brother had a hacked PSP and he had a bunch of like Genesis games. And then I didn't really get to try 1 and 3 until then. And then like those games I loved. And I was like, oh man, like these are just as good,
Yeah.
Like 2 is still my personal favorite, but I'm like 1 and 3 are like, fun games. You just like Desmond said, you can tell like the difference between 1 and 2 is really astronomical.
Hmm.
Like the size and sprites and everything, the fluidity, as expected, it's a sequel. But I ended up liking those two. And I really like 3 a lot as well. And I was like, man, this whole series, I'm like, I'm upset I missed out on this as a kid because I only got to play 2, but I'm happy it was 2. And it's just like, so those games just like, man, like I said, earliest gaming memories, like,
Yeah.
or just earliest memories of me. Like, I feel like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I still would have ended up playing video games because I did have a SNES and, I was big into Mario and Mega Man and Street Fighter.
Hmm.
But I feel like Streets of Rage 2 was what really started Rome out as like a gamer.
Do you guys have like a different appreciation for this? Because there's an aspect of this that is very since it's stuck in an era, like the older games is stuck from a different era of like how a lot of these games became almost mythical to you, especially as a child, right? Where it's like
Mm.
the stories you guys just told, where it's like, oh, I couldn't find the first version, so I got the second one, but I never played it till years later, and then I was going back and forth as time went on. Um, that's the things, the nostalgia to me that it brings me back to a moment in time so vividly, you know, of like, bro, I can remember um my pops got us a Sega Genesis from a yard sale um in like 97, 96. I had played Streets of Rage before, but like I said, it was only on like demos and stuff at the like Sears or Target or Kmart or whatever. They used to have these stands where you could play the Sega Genesis, and it would have a limited time demo type situation. And that's what I remember playing it. And I love Streets of Rage, but it was I am pretty sure it was Streets of Rage 2 though that I first initially played. But anyways, my pops, he had got a Sega Genesis from a yard sale or something like that, and I had already off the bat I was satisfied because I got Super Street Fighter 2, right? And I was like, I don't need anything else. That's what I fucking wanted. I had never seen it available anywhere. I remember seeing it in like a commercial, and I was like, well, this is a game I'm never gonna fucking have. So whatever. But then my pops came through and he got me that, and then it had the original Streets of Rage.
Mm.
That game, man, it's like it brings back so many memories because I used to play with my brother a lot video games, right? We'd play beat 'em ups all the damn time. It was Ninja Turtles, played Contra, Battletoads, all this shit. I had a lot of cousins. We'd always play all this stuff together. And I could vividly remember we would have a bag of Doritos and we'd be playing on the controls, and the controllers all got so goddamn sticky from playing this game so much. And it takes me back immediately, bro, to the smell of like the Doritos and everything. It's
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy you mentioned that, man, because like back then, like playing video games, it was more than just playing the video game. You
yeah,
know, it was just spending time with your family and friends, and and experiencing all that,
Yeah.
the little minor stuff that contributed to it, and the struggle, and the kind of like blood, sweat, and tears of you know
yeah,
eventually playing a game, or trying to acquire the game. You
yeah.
know, that kind of lends it to the game itself, because like whenever you play it, you think of all those memories.
Yeah. It takes you back to that old atmosphere.
Yeah, dude. This is basically these stories that we're talking about is basically why I think it's so important to bring this up, because these are stories that we hear on Twitter, on YouTube as well, and why people have such strong feelings about this game that came out. And like Sega has made some legendary games with amazing music, but for some reason, for me, it hit a perfect point because I grew up with my pops introducing me to a lot of martial arts films and a lot of action films, right? So I made an immediate connection with the artwork, because the artwork looks like characters from those movies, where it's like they look like they got ripped from the movies. And it just had that vibe down so well, man, to the music, to the art. Just, I don't know, man. I had yet to play a beat 'em up that really, like you have fun playing Ninja Turtles, it's Ninja Turtles, and like Battletoads, games like that, right?
Sure.
But
Yeah.
but it's like a transcendent moment to where, like, I believe you said this, Rome, where it's like, okay, now I'm gaming, like now I'm into games, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, this is a new thing, this isn't a franchise that existed before. Like, you feel like you found gold because you probably never talked about this game with anybody else until you actually touched it, you know which makes the experience so important and hard to forget, and it sears into your brain because back then when you found these things, it felt like treasure, right? These games, I would find it like a swap meet or whatever, because I never bought anything at a store, like directly from the store. I always got a user rented it. Like, that's mostly the way that I acquire games. But yeah, man, like I could definitely relate to a lot of your guys' stories, man. It brings me back to the smells, the sounds, what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
So it's so
Oh
wild in
man,
that sense, right?
It
the
even
emotions.
brings back the bad memories of getting beat up by older cousins in games.
Oh
I
yeah,
always hated that.
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
was
I,
always the
I agree
youngest
with
one.
Rome.
They took advantage.
Yeah, I agree with Rome. I remember, playing certain games, and then with like cousins and stuff, and one of us ends up crying for whatever reason, because
Yeah.
we get made fun of too much.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I feel you on that one.
What's crazy? I do have one memory from playing Streets of Rage that uh I'm not saying it's a bad one, but it's kind of wild looking back at it, like how my parents used to look at video games, because my parents weren't big fans of it. They used to let us play, but they used to think that our brains were gonna rot. Like, legit, they thought we were gonna go crazy, because that was
Oh
a
my
thing back
god,
then.
I can relate to that.
My pops, this is what he did. He got a timer, right? Like these little electronic timers, and he put it on top of the TV. And this is how crazy, this is why I'll never forget this shit. He was like, you got 30 minutes. Play whatever the fuck you want to play it, and that's it. Dude, first of all, I was pissed off because I was like, 30 minutes ain't shit. Like, come on, man. Like, what kind of fucking
Yeah,
torture is
no
30
problem with
minutes?
that.
But at the same time, it was like, well, because we know our pops didn't play. Like, he meant 30 minutes. That's all we were going to get. We're going to get anything else. So it would be a fight between me and my brother. If one died, it was over. Like, we were trying to keep each other from not playing. But with Streets of Rage, it was different because we could play together. So like, for example, like with Sonic, you only had one. Like the first Sonic, you could only play one player, right?
Yeah.
So if my brother was really good, then I was fucked. I didn't get to play most of that 30 minutes or whatever. So with Streets of Rage, it was the first time where we both got to enjoy something, and I have those memories from that crazy time frame of like playing with my brother, this goddamn clock on top of the TV that was insane.
Mm.
And like, look at where we're at now, man. We fucking play video games all the goddamn time. And we review
It's
them, we
starting to rot
stream
our
them.
brains.
It's crazy, right? Maybe we did rot. We don't actually know. But yeah, man, I really appreciate those stories, and I'm sure if it comes up again, we could segue into that. But let's get into the nitty gritty and really start to review this game. You guys said that point blank, you guys really enjoyed the game, right? Overall, very enjoyable. I have to agree. To start this off, all I have to say is the game is fun. You know, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's a good word.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Ron.
My bad, Desmond. I'll jump in. My bad. I was gonna say, yeah, I think fun is a great word to describe it as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
because it truly is like and it's definitely one of those games where like the more you play, the better you get at it. So like in terms of like
Absolutely.
the combo system or just understanding how enemies work, it that adds to making the game more fun because you're getting better at the game. So that was one of the things I was really like because I got to try the game out at PAX
Oh,
right
that's right.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so fortunate, dude, because this was right before the
It's
whole,
crazy.
COVID situation,
Yeah.
like literally 2 weeks before. So I went to PAX and they had the game there, and I was pretty much online every second playing it. I think I've obviously played the most that weekend,
Uh-huh.
but that was one of the biggest things I wanted to make sure is when I tried the demo out was like, all right, is it gonna feel like older Streets of Rage? Is it gonna at least feel like a fun beat 'em up? And I think it got both those aspects done like correctly. So like playing the full game, for sure, like just saying fun off the bat, especially with friends,
Yeah.
trying to do like little combos where like you're combo on an enemy and then like you throw them back and then your opponent, I mean your teammate like does something and wall bounces them and you
Oh
try to
my
like keep
God.
it going. Like stuff like that is I think that's really essential to the game.
It
Keep
flows
that
really
combo
well,
counter high.
right?
Was that, sorry?
It has a really good flow, like in that
Yes.
sense.
Yes, for sure.
Um, Desmond, like I want to know, like, as far as all the character sets that go into this, or all the characters that are available in Streets of Rage 4, um, what was your favorite character to use in the game?
Ooh, I really like using, like, just off the bat, I like Cherry. I
Oh,
really
okay.
like Cherry. I like her movement, especially in the air.
Uh-huh.
Like she has, some really cool combos and setups that you can do while you're in the air, and you can like pogo on top of their head and stuff, and then follow up with, special and like any other type of attacks, or you just keep doing it over and over and over again. I think Cherry is definitely a character that I felt was a really good addition to the game.
Yeah.
She plays a lot differently than Axel and or Blaze and or anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
She does still have some of the, I would say, reminiscent of Skate a little bit in
Mm-hmm.
like her movement and even just the way some of her moves animate, like when she gets on top of their head and she's like pounding on them, stuff like that. I think that's really, really cool. But yeah, Cherry, yeah, I think she's my favorite character overall.
We were talking about the nostalgia a little while ago. Where I really, really get that is, or the first instance that I got that while playing this game is when I got thrown into a pit. Like, I forgot about that shit. I forgot that you could fall into those,
Yeah.
until I legit got thrown or I got juggled into one. The game's gameplay to me is so rewarding, man. There's just so many things that can happen that you can take advantage of in the juggle system. Sometimes it's complete accident, right?
Yeah. That
Um,
is
yeah, like
you just
Rome,
combo by accident,
you're talking about playing with friends and stuff and how you do something and then it bounce off the wall and then you get your shit off. Yeah, man, it's a really, really fun game. What do you guys think about the level design? Because it's something I really appreciated about this game that I didn't see coming, and I was surprised at the variety and like the ways you could take advantage of the stages. What did you guys think? I'll let Desmond go first.
I think that the level design is pretty good. I have kind of noticed like I would say like as far as the runtime of the whole game,
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit shorter than 2 or 3 because I do feel like some of the stages are kind of a little bit more brief but more direct and to the point.
I definitely noticed that too. Yeah.
And I don't think there's that many acts in one stage. Like you remember how in like Street Rage 2, there's like almost 3 or 4 like levels or acts in one stage. I feel like there's a bit less of that, and some stages have a bit more of that. So yeah, I definitely feel the game is a little bit shorter. I do like and appreciate how it's just not like like just like left to right, like there's like diagonal, like up to down, like in Street Rage 2 and like the first level. I do kind of appreciate a lot of the challenges in some of the levels, like the level where there's like the freaking like poison pits all over the place
Yeah.
and the puddles. That's very challenging, and I appreciate that. I think that's really good. But overall, yeah, I think the level design is pretty good. I just think it's just a little is more straightforward and more direct than like 2 or 3. And I kind of wish it was a little bit longer in that area, but thank goodness there's like different difficulties that make things a little bit more challenging this time.
Right. All right. How about you, Ro?
Yeah, I was gonna just to piggyback on what Desmond was saying. In terms of the length, I think they didn't want some like stage gimmicks to kind of like overstay their welcome.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's probably why they had some stages feel a bit more shorter, like the stage, the train stage. Have the gimmick where you have to jump over the hurdle.
Yeah.
I feel like they was like they don't want to have a like 10-minute stage of just that gimmick.
Uh-huh.
Kind of get annoying.
Yeah.
But overall, though, the level design, I think this is the best, and I'm saying this as a nostalgic fan. I think this is the best level design in Streets of Rage in any game. Older Streets of Rage had cool stages that look cool, but it was a lot of them were a lot more just linear. It was just, hey, you walk down this path, you beat up a few Donovans, a few Gaussias, and
Yeah.
that's it, right? Boss fight.
Yeah.
I feel like every stage in this game is different. You have like you mentioned, the poison pit stage. You have the elevator stage later on. You have the stage where you the floor is slippery, and you have to it's like ice physics. You have I think it's stage 4 with all those pits and everything. When you're fighting
Yes, that is 4.
yeah, that stage. Like I think that like this has the best like in terms of that, and then later on the gravity stage, like it's just so much stuff. I think these stages are very cool, and that was shocking to me as well, because especially finding out that they took the developers, they took most inspiration from Streets of Rage 2, which is more, I say Streets of Rage 2 is probably the safest game out of the original trilogy, like in terms of like balance and stuff like that. But like I like it though. I think the level design is, like I said, top notch. It's definitely a rewarding thing when you start to learn, okay, like I can utilize this pit right here to like get rid of a bunch of enemies. I can utilize like, when the cops, like just simple things like the cops attacking the grunts, right? Like in the earlier stages.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't want to deal with all these people on me. I'll throw like a yellow signal into like the cops, and then they can beat up on him while I'm focusing on this person. Like, so I think when you really start to understand how the stages work, that's when it really like ramps in, like that kicks in,
Yeah, man. There was a lot of surprises for me when I was playing this game. Just I didn't see a lot of the transitions coming, and again, I haven't played Streets of Rage in fucking years. Like since the early 2000s or like the 90s when I really played them, and I did play some of the like later stuff, but it wasn't a lot of dedicated time. So as I was playing through the game, and I also have to mention how beautiful the stages look, that I was a little taken back by some of the stages and some of the scenes. I would have to say almost all of them were pretty ridiculous as far as visually goes.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I agree.
like damn man, like you go into like the jail part where you're in jail and you're breaking through like that whole scenario and people are breaking out. It's I don't know, bro. It's just this game and this series has always had a feel about it down pat, right? Like and I feel like they were definitely able to deliver on that in the visuals and the design. It's very complementary to each other as to why they work. And I'm a big sucker for any elevator stage. Like that's my shit. Every beat 'em up almost has an elevator stage, and
Yeah.
this one was fucking dope, bro. Like you break the walls and then you could throw them off each side. Oh
Yeah.
man.
And then the music that goes with it too is so good.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. Is I did appreciate that aspect about the game of how like the music would ramp up in certain parts of the game. Do you guys remember if that was a thing in the older Streets of Rage?
No, it'll change depending on the scene, pretty much. So if you go into
Yeah.
another scene, it'll be a different like song.
Ah, okay. Um, yeah, dude. I have a lot of memories. Like fucking in the Chinatown stage, I kept getting hit by Ichigeki because I didn't understand how it worked. So I get fucking demolished against the wall and I don't know, man. Like the big the little transitions too were really nice. Like for instance in the Chinatown stage, once you get out of the street and you get into the actual building, things are unique again and interesting. And there's a lot of little changes throughout each level that is enough of a change to really feel like you're in a new part of something else. You're constantly experiencing something new in the game. And maybe it does hurt the overall length of the stages, but it feels so satisfying going through all the stages.
Yeah, that's true. I would agree with that. Like the length being the length, that the length is cut. It is definitely I guess they did that to take your mind away from it being cut, but it's like you have all these different transitions, and you always feel fresh. Like you said, you always feel like you're in a different area,
Hmm.
and then the music revving up. Like even just the first stage, dude. Like when you get to the section with the car, when the
Yeah,
car comes and, and kills those poor fools, and then
yeah,
the
yeah,
music changes up. Like it just right there. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Like this feels good.
yeah.
Yeah, and plus like all the levels have like so much detail in the backgrounds, man. Like the details is just like crazy. Like even being in the the commissioner's office,
Yes.
Yeah,
like you could
yeah,
see like the trophies and the different accolades and the different posters and everything. And even before then, when you're in the office, you see the computers and like you can see like cups on the desk and stuff. It's crazy, man. Just taking the time to just look at all the little like artistic details. It's just great, man. It's absolutely great and kind of just amazing on like the amount of just like detail that they decide to put in the art, dude. It's crazy.
It's so colorful too, right? Like, um, especially like the Chinatown stage.
Oh yeah.
I just see myself looking into the background a lot through these stages. And I remember one where I think it's stage 4, where you drop down somewhere and now you're by the beach in the sand, and then you see in the background, like way in the distance, you see like the punks and the cops fighting.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Stage 4. Yep.
Oh man, dude, it's so good.
Yeah. And then that's when the music on that one, like, oh my god, dude, it's just so good. That whole game, man, they really like they did an outstanding job, just like
Mhm.
keeping things fresh. Like it feels like the thing I like to say is like it feels like a '90s game, yet it still has a fresh outlook on it. Like they were able to capture that, like Streets of Rage, and then here's a new spin. So like we're keeping it fresh. It doesn't feel too dated. Is I think the direction with the game, like it and it you can see it like.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can tell that they're not trying to make a remake. It's like, yo, this is a new game.
And that's pretty ballsy, right? Like Lizard Cube just came out of making a remake, which is a completely different story than making a follow-up game on its own.
Mhm.
And that poses different challenges, but it's like there's a lot of responsibility for creating a new iteration to a franchise like that. you're trying to please so many damn people. And at the end of the day, they were able to make their mark while not totally separating itself completely from what the series has created before it. And there's a lot that I have yet to play a game that is this length that has so much replayability. Like, I finished the game and I immediately wanted to do everything. Like, time was passing so fucking fast. Is that an experience you guys felt too? That time was just rolling through with this game?
Yeah, on release night, I stood up. I did like a 10-hour stream because it didn't come out for us on the East Coast until it's like 4 a.m.
Oh
So I was
fuck.
like, screw it. I'm staying up. I'm gonna play this. And I played with a friend, and once we were done, like maybe an hour and like 40 minutes in, and I was like, oh man, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
but it was like, all right, that's fine. That just means I'll have to play with the other, 18 characters in the game. And
Uh-huh.
then, I'll have to turn up the difficulty. So it's like
Yeah.
there is that replayability, which I love, but it was just like I guess I wanted it to be longer, but I mean 12 stages, I guess, is like, that's long enough, right?
Mhm. Um there could have been a way that they lengthened it. But knowing the trials and tribulation of, at least aesthetically, that they had to go through to make this game, um, I feel like in order to make it a longer experience, there definitely would have been a lot of filler. It would have been
Yeah, and plus,
unavoidable.
they
Mhm.
would have to sacrifice a lot of the detail of a lot of the stages as well. You know, to just like cram in more stages.
You got to think about this too. Is the other aspect of, let's just say moving forward, they do make a sequel to it, or they make some type of DLC. A lot of the assets are already created, as far as like the artwork for the characters and the animations and stuff, which is like the main grueling process that kills so many hours in development. And now there's a lot more other things that can be explored, right? Like new stages, new ways to use the fighting system, um, new ways to lengthen the game that you already have. There's a great base for that. And what are the things that you guys look forward to with anything that has to do with the future of this game? Or what are you hopeful for? What do you got your fingers crossed for, as far as like maybe new characters or returning characters? Anything like that. What do you think, Rome?
So I think going forward for DLC, because I did hear that like they're looking into possible DLC. I know there was just like a patch they had that just fixed a
Yeah.
few bugs and things like that on some AI situations. As far as like things I'm looking forward to, as just for this game, because I don't want to speak on a possible 5, because we don't know if that could happen, or who knows, right? But
Right.
in terms of just this game, I would like DLC. And just for starters, the most obvious DLC is like make characters like Estelle and like the Streets of Rage 4 versions of Max and Shiva, like just make them playable. Like the,
Yeah.
the animations are there. Max has all his moves. Just make them playable. Like the models are there, or I should say the sprites are there. Um, and Shiva is a very popular character, so
Uh-huh.
definitely just like I say those three right off the jump.
Yeah.
If you want to make a new character, I'm all for that. I would say add Rue too. Rue, I mean, he was in the stage background, but he was a hidden character in the original Streets of Rage 3, and I know he does have a fan base, so it's like add him back, right? Um, I would like to see more stage like transitions. Even though, and what I mean by that is like, maybe two different paths in one stage. So here's a stage where it has like you can either go straight,
Mm-hmm.
pun intended, or you can there's like a ladder. You can climb down that ladder and it takes you to like a whole other stage.
Mm-hmm.
Something like they had that in Final Fight 3, which
Mm-hmm.
came out in like the 90s. So I would like to see something like that, where you can so it kind of keeps playthroughs a little more fresh,
Mm-hmm.
have a few like stage transitions. Um, Really just that and the retro stages, because the retro stages were cool, but I felt like the fact that it was only 4, I thought that was a little weird, because I'm like, if it's 12 stages in the game, you can easily have 4 from each. 4 from Streets of Rage 1. You already
Yeah.
have 4 from 2, and then you can have 4 from 3. And like just have one retro stage in each level to balance it out. I thought that would be a cool idea.
Mhm.
So that's really it. And just improving on, I mean, I do have some things I dislike, like what is it, Gourmand? The big dudes with the fire spitting dude. I hate that they have full armor on the fire spit. I think that is so
Uh-huh.
dumb. So like some of the stuff like that, like the armor, I think they need to like tone down on some of the enemies. But I mean, overall, I think with those fixes, I think that'll be enough. Like just the DLC characters, some cool stage transitions. I think that would be enough to keep the game like fresh, and it adds more replayability because you'll have more characters, you'll have different stage transitions, and then maybe even add like a new stage, maybe add like a, I don't know, like a full one of the full on retro stages, maybe like the last stage of Streets of Rage 2, so you can fight like all the bosses and then fight like Mr. X again, something like that.
Maybe
But
like a new arena stage too.
yeah, that would be cool. Maybe even some stuff for battle mode. I mean, I haven't played much battle mode. When I
Mhm.
did, it was fun.
Hmm.
But maybe add more stages there. Add like retro stages to battle mode or something. But that's pretty much it. In terms of things I'm looking forward to.
Desmond, I know I saw you streaming the other day, but you did have a chance to play what was it? 4-player, was it battle mode? What was it? What mode is that?
We did 4-player, just like stage select, and also we did a little bit of battle mode.
How did that feel playing with that many people?
It felt pretty good, even
Mhm.
though we are just using like remote play. We didn't have any like complaints,
Mhm.
but at the same time, we still kind of wish there was a legitimate 4-player mode in the
Right.
game already. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that I would kind of wish those like implemented on or added, in the if they plan to put in DLC or something like
Yeah.
that.
Especially that aspect, right? Like just be able to do a straight up 4-player mode instead of having to do it the way that you were doing it.
Yeah, I can kind of understand why they didn't include it in the launch, because maybe
Uh-huh.
they attempted it and they had difficulty, um, on a technical level with it. Maybe it was like too laggy, or it was maybe like desyncing or something. But
Yeah.
I definitely feel that they should give it another try or try to get some sort of assistance, because if you put 4-player online in there, man, oh my gosh, so many people are gonna just like have so much fun. So many people are gonna like play, and it's gonna just be just a
Uh-huh.
party, man, just to play, online with.
That's crazy. Cause I've played a few beat 'em ups with 4 players, and some of those are not fucking fun, man. Like it's just chaos, you know?
Well, in this game, it's a little more controlled chaos. I would say it can get
Uh-huh.
pretty hectic, but it's so much fun that you could just
Yeah.
be just mashing away and juggling a character, and you're just trying to your best to just like keep the combo up,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you have to um, make sure that other enemies aren't like interrupting you and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
watching out for power ups. It's a lot of fun, man. It's definitely like a blast in four
I
player
was gonna
mode.
say, I remember when I was playing at PAX and we were doing the stage where stage 6, the Chinatown stage, and when he got up to Shiva, it was 4 of us playing, and we never gave him a chance to even do anything. We just grouped him in a corner. 100%, he didn't get to do any of his little like star moves, or like when he lets out a few grunts when he's like half health. He didn't get to do anything.
Uh-huh.
We just kept juggling him, and I was like, this could be a little crazy. I was like, if the game is like, because at PAX, a demo is always going to be like a little easier than the actual game because they don't tweak
Right.
all of the AI options. So I was worried at first. I was like, man, 4 player is fun, but I'm like, this could get a little bit too easy. You might have to turn on like friendly fire just to make it like a little more competitive. But
Oh, yeah.
that's what I was thinking initially. But I mean, they did update like the AI and everything, and but it was just pretty funny. We were getting like a 300 hit combo just looping Shiva in the corner. I was like, dang, he didn't get no chance to do anything.
Yeah, that's unfortunately part of the game that I didn't get to experience. I just pretty much played the game by myself, so you guys are my frame of reference on that aspect of the game. But I have to say, it looks like, just watching, it looks like fun. You know, definitely something that You could even ask again how this game is so welcoming to all walks of life, as far as people who are with the series and people who have never played it before. I feel like this game's can easily be adopted by people who've never played this game. Um, there's just so many things going for it. It looks cool. The fighting system's interesting. It feels pretty intuitive once you finally get the hang of one character. And that's something that I really liked about the game, is that every time I finished it with one character, I tried another one. And even though they were all pretty different, you're still able to apply the different logics, like the OTGs and stuff, and the bounces and stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool, man. It's so cool to go from playing those types of games when you're a kid, and now, because you're way smarter, you're way more developed as a video game player, you can really take advantage of a system like this one. If you could just think about back in the day when you played some of these old games, and we talked about already how you had to figure out on your own, right? But now we all have so much experience that we could get more out of this game.
Yeah. I think something that also benefits specifically us three is that we're fighting game players.
Right,
and this game feels like a fighting game at times. Especially with the combo system and using supers and reversals essentially, right? So I think that really, like, that's something that I really enjoy about it, is that I can use fighting game logic. Oh, here's a jump in. Let me start a jump in combo. Then I get an OTG. Then I get a ground bounce. I got ground bounce. Excuse me, a wall bounce.
Yeah.
And then I have a super move I can use to combo and keep going, right? So I think, like, for people like us that are fighting game enthusiasts, I think that really will bring you in, and we've seen, like, on YouTube, there's been people coming up with, like, all these 100% combos and stuff like that, in battle mode. I know some people have been playing it, like, they kind of want to take it serious. I wouldn't do that, but I know some people that, like, trying to play battle mode as if it's an actual fighting game.
I did see that, and I thought about it when I was playing the game. I was like, damn, if you really wanted to, you could be that dude that takes this game that far, But that ain't me. I ain't gonna do that. But I could definitely see other people doing it.
For sure. I'm sure if we were able to have, like, if we were able to go to majors and stuff, I'm pretty sure there'd be someone walking around a major with a clipboard. Sign up for Streets of Rage 4 side tournament, $5, trying to get people to sign up and play.
That sounds like fun, man. Maybe you're onto something.
I think it sounds fun, but at the same time, man, is that, a lot of those combos, like Rome said, those like 100% combos, man, people are going to abuse those so much. So battle mode will have to be, nerfed to a certain degree or something. Or I don't know. They'll probably have to do something with some of the characters to kind of tone them down, because, like, man, some of those combos are just, like, so damaging, man. And plus, like, there's some infinites too.
Yeah. I would think that this reminds me of, like, playing a game of basketball with your friends, and 4 out of the 5 of you are, like, okay at basketball, right? But then you got this one guy that can just destroy everybody, right? And it's like, if you have a game like this where it's like everybody's on that level where they could all destroy things, I don't feel like it's gonna be that fun. Just like you said, it's just, there's too much to take advantage of the game system with that many players, or when you're playing, like, versus, it's like, well, this becomes like a one-touch thing. But put yourself in the shoes of the young you, and how much you would have loved this aspect of the game with the little knowledge that you had of stuff like this. Like, I think we would have enjoyed it as kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, this would probably be my favorite if I played it as a kid. A lot of the reason I love 2 is a lot of nostalgia. I'll always love 2 over this, but I feel like this game is so good as a standalone. Even if you don't connect it to Streets of Rage, if it was just like a new game, characters played similar, but different new characters, whatever, I think this game would still be like I think actually it might even be better. I feel like there's some people that might hold this game down because of its connection to Streets of Rage. Because I remember when they first was starting to put, like, clips, like, just the music There was a lot
Mm,
of people in the comments, oh, it's never gonna be as good as Streets of Rage 2 music and blah. And I'm like,
yeah,
bro, it's a new game. Let it have its own legacy. Like, stop.
yeah,
That was the past, right? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we get it. The
Yeah,
music is good, but let this game like thrive on its own. And I feel like
yeah,
it was hurt a little by that. Yeah.
yeah. You got to let like the younger generation kind of, you know, get their feeling with this too. Like not everything is supposed to just be for the old nostalgic heads too. There's a whole new generation of players and fans or
Hmm.
potential fans that can really like what's in this game too. So, you know, don't ruin it for them. you know?
Mhm.
We have an interesting exposure to stuff like that since we play KOF, right? Which is a game that has a lot of iterations that constantly has those types of battles amongst the fan base. And I remember this reminds me of some of the conversations between like the best KOFs that exist or whatever. And I couldn't feel more. I felt like it was such an accurate connection between the two because Streets of Rage 4 reminds me a lot of like KOF 14 where it feels like it can bridge the gap very well, you know? Like it could be its own standalone game and new players like it, and it could be one of those games that wants to take people back to look at the older generations of the game, the older iterations. But the big difference is obviously that fucking Streets of Rage 4 is gorgeous, right? Like that's a big attractor to
Yeah.
me. And Rome, you say you were at PAX. Like, what was the general feeling of everybody that was experiencing that for the first time there? You know, because that's a pretty big deal. Like, it's not like there was a demo out that we could have tried at the time, like locally. You know.
So at PAX, overall, everyone was like, from what I've seen, everyone was loving the game. I mean, there were a few people who they didn't get it. I remember I saw someone walk by and they're like, "Oh, this game looks like a knockoff Street Fighter. Like, look at
What?
it." And I was like, "Bro, what? Like,
It's a
what?"
crazy take.
But but overall, because I basically, when I mean I lived on that line at PAX, dude, I
Yeah.
was at PAX for 3 days, and like one whole day I just played Streets of Rage. Like I just kept getting online.
Uh
The
huh.
Dotemu crew was like, "You again?" It was pretty funny. But like everyone seemed to really like it. Like even there were some people who tried it for the first time, and I can see they were like, "Oh, this character's cool." Like Cherry specifically, everybody was like playing her. Everybody thought she was like cool and
Uh huh.
her moves are cool and stuff. But I think overall, like even for myself, I was overwhelmed because initially, I'll admit it. Initially, when I saw the trailer, like when they first showed it that they were gonna make a Streets of Rage 4, and they showed like the first like I think it was like 1 minute of like the first stage.
Yeah.
I wasn't too like it looked good, but I wasn't too happy about because part of me was like, oh, make it look like the Genesis game. Then I was like, no, that's dumb. That just caters to like
Uh huh.
old school fans. You got to cater to everyone, new people, old school.
Yeah.
So and it looked kind of slow at the time. And then when I got to PAX and got to sit down and play it in front of the big screen, I was like, oh, this is beautiful. And once again, it's funny because it's kind of another comparison to KOF 14, where I remember when they first showed that off, a lot of people were like,
Yeah.
LOL, right? And then I heard some people were like, oh, but if you play it in person, it looks better than it does in the trailers,
Uh
right?
huh.
And then when I went to try it for the first time at CEO, I was like, oh wow, it does look better. It's still not perfect, but it does look
Yeah.
better than what I've seen in the trailer. So I feel like with Streets of Rage, it was for that, for me it was pretty cool. And then yeah, just overall, everyone seemed to be enjoying it. I got to play with a bunch of people on the 4-player one, and we had fun. It was cool. It was cool playing with the people that like grew up with the series because they just jumped in and they immediately knew like what to do and like, oh, let's test out this combo. And like we were doing that too, like testing out things. Like
That's crazy.
once we found out that you can just kind of like you can beat on the enemies even after they're dead, you can still beat them up. We was like, oh yes, let's just keep trying out stuff now.
Hell yeah.
Figuring out properties. So it was cool.
Yeah. That's I remember I saw the trailer for the first gameplay and yeah, I 100% agree with the whole like taken back for a second for the aesthetics cuz here's the thing, it does look gorgeous, right? But it is different. Um
Mhm.
it's different enough to where you might be like, "Huh, I don't know if I agree." Like you see Axel And I remember, so Gibby and Chris, I play a lot of games with them and whatever, right? And I mentioned to him like I was the only one, and still am the only one that's really excited about Streets of Rage. You know, if they had played it, maybe I would have reviewed it with them. I have no idea, but I remember Chris saying like, "Nah, bro, that game don't look dope. Axel looks fat." I was like, "Hey, fuck you, man." I was like, "I'm trying to enjoy this game. It looks dope." He was like, "I don't know, bro. He's got like, it kind of looks like he's got a beard gut. He's got a beard. I don't know, you know." But as more was shown about the game, I just started falling in love with all the other characters, the way that the gameplay looked. And initially, I did also feel that it looked old, or not old, slow. But as I played it, once I got it, because that never left my brain, because I never got to play it other than when it got released. I was like, I don't know, man. This might feel old, right? You know how Desmond, you're talking about how you went from I think 3 to 1 or 3 to 2 or something like that,
Yeah, 3 to 2.
and how you couldn't
And
dash or something.
yeah, it felt slow, man, because I was so
Yeah.
used to just the speed of 3,
Uh-huh.
and I was taken aback a little bit. I'm like, oh my goodness, this game is in like slow motion.
Yeah, it just feels old, right? Sometimes when you jump from like a newer version to an older one, it can feel old, especially when it's something from a certain generation where those certain things were common, and in the future, or in present time, a lot of those things got changed just simply for quality of life changes that people felt were more fun or whatever. And I remember playing it at first, I was like, I'm kind of getting that feeling this game's a little slow, right? But you know what really took off for me as far as the gameplay where I stopped feeling that way is the way enemies approach you and the whole combo system between everything. Where then it did make sense for it to movement to be that speed because of the high saturation of characters that you're fighting, and you get to constantly string from one thing to the other, and then using the specials to try to kind of go across the screen and stuff like that. It started to get that melding feel of like old with new, but then obviously you get a character like Adam that can actually dash, and you almost don't want to dash. Like that happened to me, where I was like, oh shit, I keep forgetting he has a dash. Um, but yeah, I like the game, man. It's we said in the beginning, it's fun, and that's the most important thing to me about this game. Is like I could break it down as much as I want to, but at the end of the day, I just say it's a fun ass fucking game. You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, you guys would agree, right?
I agree. I do feel the fun is more magnified when you're playing multiplayer.
Yeah.
You're playing even just like 2 player online, you know?
Uh-huh.
Even that is fun. Just playing with a random person online and just going through the stages, or playing with a friend. That's fun too. You know, that's a lot of fun. I mean, Street Rage as a whole is just better with 2 people. You know, you can surely play by yourself, and that's
Yeah.
cool, but it's just something about just having someone with you to just like, you know, beat all the enemies, and defeat
Mhm.
all the bosses and stuff, and try to manage the resources as far as picking up lives, or money and stuff like that. That's the best part of Street Rage, in my opinion. And 4 player online mode, when we tried it through remote play, man, that was almost like times 20. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 player mode, man.
uh,
Yeah, it was definitely so much fun. And I would agree. Like I said, I think it gets that part right, and that's
yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing is you never want to play something and you're just bored, right? Because then you
Mhm.
don't want to play it. So it's a simple equation, make it fun, and I think it'll always be fun. And I think it has the most important factor of a beat 'em up is replayability, because most beat 'em ups are like, especially the older Genesis ones, or the older ones from the 80s and 90s, they're generally like an hour and a half long, an hour long,
Mhm.
sometimes faster if you're really, really good at them.
Yeah.
And I think this is a perfect game for that. I mean, you have all these characters, you have all these different modes, and you have like was it arcade mode where you just have one life. I mean, the only thing I would say is that I feel like there are some enemies that will definitely have you spiking your controller into the ground. Specifically the character, the girls that throw the chemicals. I just want to
Yes,
pull my
dude.
hair out, dude. Oh my god, dude. I so many Mania runs. Like I
Uh-huh.
would do arcade mode Mania, and like I would play perfectly. You get up to them and then lose like 3 or 4 lives, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care anymore. Like I don't care. I'm just upset. But I mean, like, just overall, it's fun, and honestly, that's what you want, though, right? Like, it's a Mania mode, and I remember I saw some people, on Twitter, kind of complaining that Mania mode was too hard, and I'm like, well, it's Mania mode.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
point.
Yeah, even
Yeah,
in 2 is very difficult.
yeah. I still think Mania 2 is the hardest Mania mode of all. Like, Mania 2 is ridiculous. You got Donovan's like a Akuma walk speed and like just anti-airing you at every second. Like, but yeah, I think that like this game's difficulty is like it'll make it fun for everybody. If you play on easy or normal
Yeah.
or hard, I think it has the perfect balance for like, your level of skill to
Mhm.
play, which adds to like the fun factor, right? So
Yeah,
Yeah,
even
man.
like the small like things that they added to the game, like for example, like I really like the fact that you can throw items and then catch them if they bounce off
Oh, yeah.
it, or you
excited.
can like throw or catch like the grenades or like bottles from like those Margaret's
Uh-huh.
girls, and then just like throw them back to them. I think that's like so dope. It's so fulfilling just to like throw a pipe at the enemy over and over again, just ding
Uh-huh.
ding ding until it like disintegrates, or have like a group of like those Margarets throwing bottles at you all at once, and you
Yeah.
could just catch all of them and throw them back at her, or them. That's like so good.
I had one moment that blew my mind because I didn't see it coming, and it's when I threw a pipe at somebody, and then that character fucking caught it and threw it back at me. I didn't see that coming, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? They can catch it too.
Yeah. There's some instances where like they can catch it and throw it back. It's crazy, man. Like I have a clip of like the Donovans, like you
Uh,
throw them like a pipe at them while they're like facing the other way, and then they could catch it without even like quote unquote seeing the pipe coming at them. It's like
yeah.
magnetized pretty much.
Yeah.
Man, if they make a Streets of Rage 5, Donovan has to be the final boss. That guy is such an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, he's the worst. People complain about Galcia with the knife. Have you ever had a combo counter where it was like 300 like hits, and then like a random Donovan just comes and snipes you really fast and breaks your comp? Like, that guy is the worst, man. He needs to be the head of the syndicate going into Streets of Rage 5, man. Just make him the final boss. I'm sick of Donovan.
Yeah, he came up.
He definitely did.
Yeah. As we round out this review impression trip down memory lane, I really felt like it was important to share our connections and how we felt about the series as a whole, because it's like games like this are so subjective, right? Like we could talk about it all day and we say that we love it, but there's obviously people out there that feel differently about this game. And anything that has a really big connection towards nostalgia typically has that capability of splitting the fan base in that way, right? Um, but I have to say, like, this game has been taken overall very, very well across a lot of people, right? Reviews have been great. Most people are singing its praises, and the people that are complaining about it, they have a different attachment to the series as a whole. They're coming from a different place, and you can even understand where they're coming from. But in my opinion, for me, this is the most fun I've had with this type of game. I've played a lot of beat 'em ups. I've played a lot of like I guess like indie beat 'em ups on Steam
Mhm.
and stuff, and I have not been satisfied playing those types of games as much, nowhere near as much as I've been with Streets of Rage 4. Um, yeah, satisfying, fun game that you could play with friends. It's perfect for some of us when we need a break from fighting games and we want to do something else, because we do other things than fighting games, right, guys?
Yeah, right. I
Yeah,
think
we
so.
did
I
other
don't know.
things before fighting games.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, and these types of things, when we get a dip into this stuff, it really speaks to how much fun we used to have as kids, and where it's very simple, but it can be complex. And yeah, man, again, it's just overall fun. And I just want to say for sure, like it's been like really, really great experience having you guys tell me all your stories. You know, because that's the most thing that I was interested in, is hearing about how you guys came to have knowledge in this game, how you guys felt about it, and the connections that you guys had. Yeah, I want to say thank you for that, for you guys coming over and expressing that with me.
Oh, no problem, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, anytime I can talk about Streets of Rage, so I'll take it.
Yeah, man. But yeah, like I said, overall great game. I think we can all pretty much say it's fun. It's worth your time. Get it if you can.
Yeah, it's like $20. It's not even like that expensive, like $22 or so.
Yeah, in my
So,
opinion, it's worth it. You know,
hmm
a lot of replayability. Play it with your friends. Stream it. Have fun. Don't be afraid of sucking at it. You know, there's plenty of videos getting out there. You guys check that out. But yeah, overall, recommended. Highly, highly recommended, folks. But yeah, I'm gonna end up closing this out here. We had a great conversation. And again, thank you guys for joining me. Rome streams a lot on what's your Twitch channel, Rome?
Oh, it's just my name, Rome_himself. That is my Twitch channel.
Rome's been streaming tournaments lately, getting on the mic for Bodega Classics, and a very consistent streamer. So check him out when you can. A real cool dude, and I'm happy he came by. And also Desmond KOF. Desmond, what's your Twitch?
It's Desmond_KOF, all lowercase letters.
Yeah, and actually, I've been enjoying a lot of the other than fighting game stuff that you've been putting up too, and I think a lot of people have been checking that out as well. Just a really good group of guys. These two dudes have been streaming a lot of good stuff, fighting games, what have you. Yeah, please check them out. And this will round out this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for the time that you took to listen to this whole entire podcast. But we'll catch you guys later. Maybe we'll do another review of something else. And yeah, you guys have a good evening, good night. We'll catch you soon with the next episode. Thank you. Peace.